Okay, guys, this is the last portion of Section 5 notes, fossil fuels and energy resources. We're going to hit Part 4, other uses of fossil fuels, and Part 5, fossil fuels and the future. Thought this little picture was a great way to start us off because it is funny. If you think about it, we do use fossil fuels for many of our cosmetics, many other things, products in life. I mean, the um, hair dryer that she's holding, probably plastic, petroleum based, and even the fact that she's in light of circumstances, since most light, almost half our energy comes from coal, another fossil fuel. So that's a pretty way to get started. So we're going to start off with talking about that. What are some uses for fossil fuels? Okay. Petroleum is used for many things beyond gasoline. You guys, most of you already know that. Plastic is a big thing. Um, and here we have a list of major components. Next to this list is a picture of a barrel, okay? And that barrel is broken down into how much from each barrel of crude oil in gallons is used for these different things. Okay, so gasoline, big portion there. I think you guys already knew that. Diesel, another type of fuel we have over there. Jet fuel, interesting. Other products, that's what we're going to talk about in a second. Heavy fuel oil, LPG. The other distillants, this is actually used for asphalt and tar, or it's part of that. Asphalt from fossil fuels. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Like I said earlier, of course, plastics are a big product for petroleum. Use petroleum for many of our plastics. Um, Also, man-made material. I don't know if you've ever heard of polyester. Probably don't like it. Think it's not bad, but it is used for a lot of nylon. Okay, so your swimsuits are made out of oil. Okay, paint and nail polishes, among other cosmetics, like we said, are in there. The one I think is interesting is medicines are derived from petroleum. So antihistamines, allergy medicines. I know it's sort of hard to see. Antihistamines mean allergy medicines, and even aspirin can have stuff in there. So thinking about all the things we use fossil fuels for, we can't completely get rid of them. Okay? So here is a picture provided by Ohio Gas Consortium of all the products in an individual household that are petroleum based. Basically, I think they just moved their whole house out into their yard so they could show you this picture of all these things that have some kind of component of oil, of petroleum in them. Okay, so think about all the things that are in your life. They have a lot of TVs, don't they? Huh. All right, moving forward. We're on to part 5, fossil fuels and the future. By 2040, the world's energy demand, because we keep asking for more and more energy, needing more and more electricity, will be increased by 1/3, almost 1/3, 30% of our energy demand will be increasing. Will increase by 30%. Okay. Oil production right now is still interesting. We're getting more and more out of the ground, but it's not coming out as quickly as it has been. So there's that to consider. We need to think about that. The predictions for the market are that we will reach our peak production, so the most that we can get out of the ground at one time between 2014 and 2020. We're right there, guys. We're right in the middle of that at this time. So have we seen the peak for fossil fuels? What does that mean? Okay. Well, the industry, the petroleum gas industry, hopes that fracking process will allow access to the oil reserves that previously were inaccessible, that we could not get to. Okay, they weren't something that we could reach easily by pipeline, or that we couldn't get a hold of. We couldn't just get them out of the rock. So let's talk a minute about what fracking is. Okay, fracking is a process of drilling horizontally in the ground to collect oil and natural gas by pumping water and chemicals and sand into the rock to fracture it. That's where fracking comes from fracturing the rock. Now when we talk about oil reserves, that's oils that can be reserved at a profit. where is that? There it goes, at a profit. Okay, so you have this diagram in your notes. Okay? Show the truck. They're going to drill deep into the ground, it's a couple miles even below. Here we have the water line here, and that's what they keep saying, that they drill below, and then we have this black mark here to show that there's cement to stop all that oil and gas that's coming up from getting into drinking water. Okay, that's the claim. All right, and we'll talk more about that later. So I do want to spend a little bit more time on fracking. Okay, but what happens? You can see it's not going to be. They curve the pipeline. Now it's not going to be. This is pretty nice drawing of curve, but we're talking curve as like it's a straight line over. Go straight for a little bit, angle it one more, straight for a little bit, angle it one more. I mean, this is a very long line. Okay, we're talking like hundreds of feet at one time in our curve. Okay, but they're going to pump water and chemicals and sand into this pump, and they're going to push them out of holes in the pipe, and that's going to force it into the rocks, and the rocks are going to fracture or break. Okay, now once that stuff's in there, that sand that they have in there is going to jam itself into those cracks into the rock, and it's going to allow the gas and the oil to come out of those rocks. It's sort of like squeegeing that sponge like I did the other day. Okay, only we can't squeeze rock. So this is how they're squeezing it. They're going to put sand in there, keep those cracks open, and allow things to flow back up the pipe and out into so they can store them. Okay, so here's one concern here with the fracking with the well. Also, a big concern is the storage tanks. Okay, because all that water with all that chemicals in it, it has to go somewhere. So where do we put it? We have to store it in wells. And that's where we're seeing concerns with drinking water and with earthquakes. Okay, so that's really is something to consider. Our last part, the very last thing we want to talk about, is we can't completely get rid of all of our oil needs. We're still going to need it, but we're running out. So what we need to do is use oil for only those things that we can use only for oil for. So what do we need that's essentially just oil? Okay. We need to look for new technologies to replace oil in other areas. Okay. So we have the oil that we need for what we can use it for. Okay. If that makes any sense. Okay, so we see that yes, oil is a big part of this, but we need to consider the alternative fuel sources for our energy needs. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. We're going to talk a little bit more about this when I get back later. Okay. And I hope to do some more after we've taken our test next week. Okay. All right. Have a great afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow.